Okay. So after all the years, I remember being in high school, people writing about legalizing marijuana. I mean, that's how long ago this discussion has been on the table. And I just thought it was just for people who just wanted to smoke, you know. But I voted for the legalization of marijuana because of all, you know, even Joe Biden said it was 150 million Black men locked up in relationship to marijuana, 150. So you know, I mean, that's not why I voted, because that came out afterwards, but that's why I voted. If, you know, now, what say you guys? Does anyone have their thoughts before we get into what it looks like and how it's going to affect our job, how it's going to affect the streets? Because I don't think it's going to be what people think it's going to be. I don't think people really thought about how structured it's going to be, being that we're not one of the first states to legalize it. You know, it's been legalized since 2013, I think. I think it's been 2013 when it comes to like Colorado, those states over there. It's been a while for them. So, no one? I'm going to start this. Mr. Kevin?
More people gonna be high.
That's why you're out of space right now?
I got my ganja.
You got your ganja?
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. More people gonna be high.
More people are going to be high.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about that?
I don't know if it's going to change how many people get high, because where there's a will, you know what I mean? I think it's the whole criminalization aspect of it. It's still, I don't see it as being as simple as, you know, people walking down the street smoking a blunt. I don't think it's getting to that degree either. But I think the biggest part of it is to decriminalize it so that people can do it without the worry of, you know, going to jail for 8 years for smoking a blunt.
Right. I had looked up, you know, I always have to look up some stuff, right? I had looked up in Colorado, you actually can't be on the street with a blunt. You can't be at, it said since it wasn't a federal law, that you can't be at a national park with marijuana, even though it's legal. At best, it is, you can use it at home. And if you are a landlord, you can still restrict your tenants from using it in the house. So I don't think people are thinking about, I think they think they're going to have all of this freedom that they're not really going to have, as far as, you know, just because it's legal.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing I found interesting was, so you can't sell it, you know, unless you're a retailer, you can't sell it to someone who's 21 years and under. Okay, 21. So I was thinking maybe 18, but Colorado's 21. I don't know what ours will be, but it said 21. And you know, there's a lot of restrictions behind it. From the renting to, you know, people smoking it in their home. You can't smoke it on the sidewalk. which I thought you would be able to because, you know, how people smoke cigarettes, you know, I thought maybe that would, but, well, we don't know what New Jersey is going to do, but you know, New Jersey and New York is always the strictest of the strict when it comes to, you know, these types of laws.
Well, the
So,
other thing that I know is a lot of companies are no longer, you know, including that on the drug test. And if they are, and excuse me, if people test positive, they don't withdraw a job offer because of it.
oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. I mean, for those who, you know,
Right.
smoke before getting a job.
Yeah. No more trying all these witch doctor remedies to try to get it out their system before the drug test.
Well, you know, no one has to ask me for my urine anymore. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Let me say that right now. Yeah. And the other thing I thought about was how it affects pregnant women. So of course, you know, I looked that one up too. They said a doctor actually after delivery, babies are, and this is only in Colorado. I only looked up Colorado because that was the first state that came to mind. They test the baby, and if the baby has a certain amount of, I don't know if it was THC or something in the system, that mother could be reported to child services. You're muted. I see your mouth, Kevin.
I was just saying, yeah, but I was nodding my head, yeah. That happens.
And that's
That's how they get black women.
But is that they're taking a drug test, or is it specifically marijuana? Because shouldn't it be that if any drugs are found in the system?
Well, I want to say it was related to marijuana, only because I looked up some of the laws that were directly attached to marijuana, and you know how they played in different settings, and that popped up. So they had the actual different drugs. I don't know what they're called. I don't know what THC is. Does anybody know what?
Yeah, that's the active chemical or whatever, not chemical, but the thing that gets you high from marijuana.
Okay.
But yeah,
So,
they also, part of my crazy beard. I just woke up, man. I should go do something about this. But anyway, they sometimes use that to put women through the system too, and they don't really have to. It could be a false positive for THC. It's just another rationale to put poor people, and specifically black women, in through the system so they could harass black women, or you know, put them in jail or whatever.
wow.
I'm like leading off of that. That's my concern. Like all the people that have been already incarcerated or charged or whatever, have a record because of marijuana. Now we have these people who are now saying, "Oh, I'm going to get my license to do it," who were instrumental or in favor of locking up our, you know, people because of it. I'm gonna say his name, Chris Christie. Like all of a sudden, he wasn't for it when he was in office, but now he's talking about, I'm gonna get my license and open up, you know, places. I'm like, you benefited off of incarceration, and now you're gonna benefit off of the legalization, and you didn't support any of us in any favorable way.
Of course. I mean, that's what wealthy people do.
Yeah, well,
that's the next part of it. They now capitalize off of it in a different way. So because they were capitalizing off of the prison system,
Right.
It's been legalized, they can now capitalize off of it in another way. So it perpetuates the whole idea that we don't benefit from it. So, everybody's excited that it's been legalized, but the idea is that, okay, now we can smoke it without criminalization, but think ahead and open a dispensary and start profiting like these people are.
Right. Right.
They
And
they're gonna have that dispensary on lock already. It's probably, I'm pretty sure that's already
Actually
set.
is already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
I thought I read somewhere, but that's the whole thought, is that they don't move on any of this until they've already cornered the market on it.
Right.
And now they've
Absolutely.
closed it out to so many people who, have gone to jail, have spent time in jail, have this record following them. They can't do anything. They could open up a dispensary if they can't get a job anywhere, but now they've locked that down already. And now they're passing it and saying, oh, you know what? We rethought this and now we can do this. But meanwhile, they've had these meetings and have been knowing that they were going to do this for years and made sure that they cornered the market, and they're still going to make money off of it. So while everybody is bouncing around about being able to smoke a blunt legally, they're still going to make money off of you doing that as well.
Right.
Right.
Through taxes, of course. Retail, right?
Exactly.
So, now they're going to make money. I guess if you have a liquor license, you're going to get a marijuana license.
Exactly. But they'll make that hard for any Black person who will want to do it and be able to profit. And, it just keeps going on and on. So it's not all that great that it's been legalized in one aspect, but in others, if it helps someone who's been incarcerated because of it, then, I'm all for it.
And they said you can have, a legal amount of transaction in the street. You can make a transaction in the street that, not here. Let me just make that clear. That was in Colorado, that you could have no more than an ounce. So they even have like a certain amount before they can arrest you. So you just can't walk around selling cookies.
Right, right.
Or brownies. Or gummy bears.
Make them at home, eat them at home. I mean,
right. Have a party, But I don't know. I want to see where it goes. Now, I did not look up because I thought about everyone who smokes and the relaxation of it. How is that going to look when you're driving? Like, are you going to be delayed with, reaction? A truck is coming from you. Are you wondering if the truck is really coming? Like, are you, is it a slow motion reaction?
I think people are already doing that. That's what I'm saying. Like, where there's a will, there's a way. People who smoke are already smoking, have already been smoking. I've known people who have smoked and gone to work and worked a full day of work. So
me too.
It doesn't change
with that.
Right. People right now, you can drink alcohol, but you're not supposed to drink and drive under the influence, where your judgment is inhibited and impaired. So that's going to be the same situation for marijuana.
You're right. I didn't think about it that way. All right. What
about people who have, have it for medicinal reasons?
I mean, people now can already get it if you can get that card. So it's already available. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for medicinal reasons, wouldn't you take it like, wouldn't that be a different grade?
What do you
No?
mean,
Or
wave?
is it the same? I mean, I don't know. I don't have a card.
Yeah, that would
Well,
have been a question for us to ask someone who does.
Card.
well, I don't know. At this point, will you need a card? Can you go to the dispensary and make a purchase and have no questions asked, or do you still even need a card?
No, you shouldn't need anything special once it's recreation is legal.
Right.
Well,
Are they
I
gonna check you? Like track you though? Like, how do they do this?
I
Like,
think, well, so I think with this being new to our area and our state, the fact that we have only one distillery, I wanted to say that even the mayor had said something about they were going to keep a certain amount for medicinal purposes first over recreational, just so they don't run out. There's always a supply because what
They're
I
worried
guess
about
I
running
guess
out
before it gets
now.
I guess before it gets into stores, I guess before, I just want to know what it's going to look like, because I remember, it wasn't last year, it was a while ago. I watched on one of those educational channels, but this guy tested out different weed or different strains of marijuana, and then how they mixed them to give different flavors. So if you wanted blueberry, if you wanted vanilla, they showed you how it was made, and he would test it. That's what he did for a living. That's he would go around to different places before they went into the distilleries, and said if it was okay, and he would rate it and survey. I guess he would survey marijuana. That was his job. Yeah. So I'm assuming that would be outside of medicinal, because of recreational, it would just be different, wouldn't it? I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough to speak from that point. But if you haven't invested, invest.
now where are they saying that the money will go? The revenue from the taxes?
I have no idea. It would be lovely if we can offset some of the taxes in Patterson, some of the property taxes.
You said there's one dispensary in Patterson?
Off of Route 20.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly where it is, but I think it's somewhere either by Mama Juana's or the Red, White, and Blue. It's somewhere in that section. I remember the announcement, but that was before voting. Now it's, Walmart might get it.
I seem to remember seeing something, and I don't know the exact validity of it, but one of the other states, when they legalized it, like there being a long line of people. Once it had been legalized, it was like a long line of people waiting to buy it at the dispensary, wherever it was, like the voting lines, long
Right.
line people. So I don't know if, legalizing it, if that's what that means, that you can just go to your friendly neighborhood dispensary and get it, or if it'll be like buying a pack of cigarettes wherever they sell cigarettes.
Well, I was about to say, they said something about retail. They said retail marijuana. So I'm thinking it's beyond the dispensary, but the dispensary had different, in Colorado, they had different flavors. Like you can actually go in and like.
Oh yeah, that's how most of them are.
Oh.
Different strains.
Right. So, I can't imagine it being limited to that one place, because
Right.
You know, how would you?
Everybody can have it. Yeah.
Right. Right. But for now, they said they were going to, Patterson, I should say, was going to cater, you know, first naturally to percentage of medicinal users over recreational. So, you know, and firefighters, you know, what happened? I see we have Janice Miller on here. You take a puff, and then a fire alarm goes off. Just mess up everything. Are you there, Janice?
Yes, I'm here. I'm driving, and I'm driving to the dispensary now. So to give you the address.
Yeah, some brownies.
There we go. I'm gonna take a picture of it. It's right. It shares the same parking lot as Mama Juana Cafe.
Okay.
So the address. Well, I'm gonna take a picture of it. I'm gonna get out the car and take a picture of it. They're closed right now, but I don't know if I can do that on this.
Oh, and that brings up a thing like hours of operation. How long will it be open? From what time to what time?
I'm gonna take that picture too.
Oh. I don't know. It just brings a whole bunch of, I think, myths. You know,
I don't think people are as impaired as you think when they do smoke marijuana, especially long time smokers. You know.
Oh.
It's like you can function, you know, fully doing your job and doing it well, and you know, having smoked. You know,
It's
Kevin brought up
people,
alcohol before.
well, it's people on crack who have jobs, and you don't really know anything about it. It's
Right.
functional. There's
Right.
functional crackheads. There's functional,
Cocaine.
what do you all coke, all types of drugs
Mm-hmm.
that you don't know anything about. And then, you know, the people who can't handle the stuff, you find out because they do crazy stuff and they end up getting fired most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they drive, they crash and they have a problem. Or they drive and don't crash and nobody knows it and they do well. Like there's a lot of people who drink and drive with no issues. There's a lot of people who crack and drive with no issues.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we just don't hear about them.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting as it evolves. No, I know people who have smoked for a very long time, but they, you know, the people I know, it's with moderation. You know, I'm just talking about the people, you know, there's always that variable factor that wants to go overboard, you know. COVID, you're home. Listen, I was going door to door, you know, passing out literature. There are plenty of homes I smell marijuana. I was like, okay, all right.
You know, that's my biggest concern is the secondhand, at least even the smelling of marijuana from neighbor to neighbor, you know, between neighbors that don't necessarily want to have their young children, toddlers, smoking marijuana. But if it's going to be legal in your home and you live in a little housing development, it's going to go through the vents. And what's going to be the recourse for those kids and those families that don't want that?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I've never heard. Have any of you guys heard of? You know how we know about secondhand smoke for cigarettes. Is there a secondhand, whatever
contact high?
What? Just a contact high.
That's all I've ever heard.
You can get high from it, but especially little kids don't need to be subjected to that.
Right.
And you know, back in the day before the law of smoking was out of the buildings, and you come home if you decide to go out, and even though you didn't smoke, you came home, you had to get rid of those clothes. So what about you have somebody in the house that smokes, and the kid is coming to school, or the kid is going to work. When I say kid, I mean like 17-year-old or 18, you know, somebody under. I wonder if they can get stopped, but I guess as long as they don't have the possession of it. Or what about those smoke-filled cars? There's plenty of people that they roll down their window, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Could you take my literature? I ran into that. I'm telling you, there's a whole heap of smokers in Madison.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be, you're gonna smell it all over everywhere as you're just walking down the block.
Yeah.
So,
But you know, I just wonder, you know, how is that gonna look? You brought up children, when hopefully this monster COVID goes away, and you know, people are going back to work on a regular basis. Kids are coming into school, you know, elementary schools, what the teachers saying, or teachers reporting students that just
Well,
smell.
for what? If it's legal, what are they gonna do?
But you know,
what could be there? What could be? I mean, what they're gonna report it
right?
for, say, a minor who's been exposed to it on a regular basis, but come to find out, you know, they're in a household where their parent or guardian does it regularly.
Right.
I mean, what are they going to report? Is that grounds
Right.
for removal from the home? Like, what could that honestly be? What does that honestly look like?
Right.
Right. So yeah, you don't want consequences that are like what they said about a health system for the educators, unintended consequences. Like you have to get the details out. That's a good point. Like what are the guidelines and how will it affect like the education system, the students and the parents? That's important too. And people on the street in general, because we all know or have heard of situations where things were planted, you know, like the inequity of things. How do we make sure things are made equitable, you know, or at least that road gets done and not closed up?
Someone has an ounce and then an additional ounce is planted.
Right.
Or half of an ounce is planted. That's just over. I mean, I don't know that it's an ounce. I was just going by Colorado, but you know, yeah, those are now things that also, not to say, you know, we are assuming dirty law, but you know, those are also things that people have to really, you know, take into consideration. Yeah. But you know, hey, as long as you can do it in your private home, you can do it in the backyard. You know, it was amazing to me that you couldn't do it in parks in Colorado. You couldn't do them in regular parks. You can't do them in national parks. You can only do it in the private of your home. Yep, not walking down the street. So I kind of felt like, okay, it's legal, but now it's kind of what it is right now. Is that, I mean, you know?
Well, you gotta look deeper and try to figure out why they want to make this legal. And like I was saying before, there's profits to be made.
Oh yeah.
You know, beyond everything.
Absolutely.
I don't think there's so much idea that they have this care for people who have been incarcerated or people who, you know, this is the gateway drug to drug addiction. They don't have a care for any of that. The bottom line is there's money to be made, and
that's the only concern.
they do it. This is how they hide it.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Because yeah, that all goes out the door now because that's all they've been saying to prevent the legalization. One of the reasons. And now it's out the door because guess what? We're going to get rich. Or
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah. So, I mean, stay tuned. It's going to be interesting. Definitely going to be interesting. Because, you know, it's not just going to be marijuana. It's going to be marijuana mixed with alcohol. It's going to be marijuana
Yes,
mixed with, you know what I mean? They're going to, you know, it's
like it
just going
is
to be,
now. It's a
right,
mixture of drugs put together to get you feeling like the Incredible Hulk. And meanwhile, us as EMTs and firefighters and police, we gotta, you know, tame these people to get them out the street. They're out the street naked, you know, and of course we know it wasn't no medical marijuana doing this to them,
right,
but they might have started with medical marijuana and they elevated to something stronger. So what happens once you start getting addicted to what they claim is only an ounce of this marijuana, but
oh,
they laced it with something else? You know what I mean? Like,
right,
and then what happens when we have children go to school like they do with their parents' guns, they take it to school as show and tell? Like, what happens to that parent? What are the consequences behind these things? I mean, we all know that they're out to gain more revenue for themselves to keep their pockets laced. But like you said before, what about us? What about our mental health, first of all? And it's just like when they started with Ritalin with the kids, you know, that's all they want to do is just give you a prescription for Ritalin because your child is overactive.
Yep.
So this is really crazy.
it is. It's just going to be interesting. I just want people, I wanted to have this conversation because I know that we'll put all these things out there just to get them thinking about it, you know, when January comes, okay, when the new year comes,
Yeah.
when the new year is going to be a different new
Stroke
year.
of
First of all,
midnight.
what'd you say?
Yeah.
At the stroke of midnight.
No, you know, we have pre-New Year celebrations. And, you know, first of all, this new year is going to be hopefully wonderful because 2020, even though tomorrow is Friday the 13th, 2020 has been a year of Friday the 13th. Just like
Wow. Yeah.
a long,
For real.
365 days of Friday the 13th is 2020.
That's accurate. I might meme that. That is accurate.
But yeah, so
Well,
it's
there's
just
another aspect to it too, because there's, you know, the whole market for edibles, which you know, people make their edibles, but how, you know, how are they obtaining their ingredients for edibles? So there's a big market for edibles as well. And, you know, I guess that kind of gives people who experiment with it in cuisine the green light to be able to go and do that as well. So that's another side of it.
right. Janice, I don't know what you're doing,
Yes.
but if you can mute, are you typing or something?
No, I'm actually driving.
Oh, okay. I don't know what that was. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
that might have been the
No.
bag I was digging in. I'm sorry.
Okay. Trying to get those edibles out.
Right. Hello. Laced with coconut.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and then, you know, there's just so many unforeseen or just variables that, you know, I feel like they're waiting to catch us with, you know. So you talk about the edibles, right? And let's say somebody has a brownie. Okay, okay, so that brownie may have less than an ounce, but then you have another brownie on Tuesday. Then you have another brownie on Thursday. Then how many?
Well, I don't know if a whole ounce in one brownie is safe for anybody.
Well, no, less than an ounce. But you know, you constantly. Let's say you you have a cookie a day. Right?
Still,
You,
what's the issue with that though?
right. No, but I'm saying, and now let's say you're in the car with somebody for something else. Can they test you for that? If do you know? Yeah, you say no, but
Why
do
would
people,
they? What would be the point? Unless, like KK said, something else has to predicate it. The same way someone has a car accident, they test you for your blood alcohol. Maybe they'll start testing for marijuana, but I don't think they can just test you unwarranted. And if you're eating an edible or you've had one and then you've decided to drive, I don't see the point unless you're pulled over for some kind of violation.
right?
No,
What you're talking makes sense, but as you know, the state of the country, just because we might be changing guards doesn't mean it changes the people.
Oh no, I don't
overnight,
expect I don't expect that drastic of a change, but I
right.
think that it's mainly is legalizing it and nothing changes, but really the decriminalization. If they're saying that they're going to decriminalize it, then have at it. Smoke it in your house, eat it, have edibles in your house or whatever. Go out, live your life. But, like KK said, if there's an incident, then maybe we need to look into, are you doing it too much? But then again, if it's decriminalized, there's nothing to do. Maybe they're going to come up with new laws like alcohol. If you have too much in your system and you cause an accident, it's an issue. But you can buy alcohol and drink it as much as you want. It isn't until you hurt yourself or someone else,
right?
They need to look at it and make laws to say you have a DUI or a DWI, etc. So I don't know, maybe that's what's coming down the pike now, because it's now become legal. So now how else can we get them? How else can we snag them up with continuing to put them in prison for the smallest of things? But I think the overarching idea is that there's money to be made.
Oh,
Before anything else. I mean, even if nobody's going to jail for it or spending any significant amount of time, it's the money to be made.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
you know what's out there. And if it could be as simple as going to the dispensary and getting it, and people are showing up there every payday, they know that that's money to be made.
There's a coupon card if you get if you
Visit
get a
school,
whole
get
bunch
you
of
one free ounce.
you get a free brownie.
Something.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I just kind of wanted to throw it out there because I said, okay, we're who and woo, yeah, woo. But like, look at these other, don't think that these other traps aren't being set up along, with the giveaway, So, and I remember when I was in Las Vegas, they were talking about, and this was like 4 years ago now, or maybe three or 4 years ago. I just remember them talking about how much they were actually upset that they didn't make as much as the investors made or something. It was like in taxes. They made they made more than their projected amount through taxes, but the independent people made a substantial amount of more, and they were actually upset about it. They were having a conversation about it on television. I was laughing. I was like, wow, you're just gonna tell us how greedy you are,
Of course.
You're just gonna tell us how greedy you are. So what are you gonna do, up the tax,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting. I know what to put in everybody's stocking this year.
Hey, listen, it is what it is. I mean, You giving them gifts ahead of time? I thought we was waiting until January 1st.
Oh,
Don't
sorry.
open until
Well,
January 1st.
yeah, well, I mean, okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Did I say that?
Yep.
Yeah, Christmas, New Year's, yeah.
Well, you can
Okay.
still celebrate Three Kings. There you go.
Three Kings Day, exactly.
Yeah,
You
Three
can
Kings
get the
Day.
gifts.
I don't think that's on the
That
books,
sounds
Nikki.
sacrilegious, though. Forgive me, y'all. That's sacrilegious.
That's, oh my gosh, yeah, you really brought it down. All right, ladies and gentlemen, just wanted to put it out there. I appreciate your voice as usual. And thank you.
Is this a special meeting or are you going back to weekly?
I'm going to end it for a second. End the recording.